it's my pleasure to welcome you this morning to Meizon. Whether you're here in the building with us this Sunday morning, or whether you're watching along, might not even be Sunday morning, we're still really glad that you're here. So, first of all, if you are a child, an elementary age kid, good news, you don't have to hang out with us boring grown-ups anymore. The fun grown-up, Miss Kylan, is waiting for you at the back, so feel free to follow her outside. Okay, grown-ups, you may not be a kid, but we do still want to connect with you as well. Our digital Connect card is up on the screen. If you would like to scan that QR code, then there's loads of opportunities there. You can sign up to help us out with events. You can share any prayer requests that you have, or you can just say hi, and we love to say hi to you. So, this week, Thanksgiving is coming up. Pretty exciting for me. I'm British. This is my first American Thanksgiving. I've never truly experienced that before. And I'm going to be celebrating Thanksgiving this Thursday with my children at Meizon's Thanksgiving Together event. I'm really excited about it. There's so much planning and preparation going on, and I know it's just going to be an awesome event. If you're not signed up yet and you would like to come along and enjoy the meal and the entertainment with us, that is absolutely great. There's also still some opportunities to volunteer, so I'm going to be helping set up with my kids, and I know there's some other opportunities to help out available. So you can go onto the website and sign up for that. If you can't make it on the day, but you would still like to help out, one thing you can do, if you'd like to, is to sponsor a ticket to the event. So tickets are free to anyone who wants to come along, but there is an option if they want to pay for their ticket, then they can. If you want to go and sponsor a ticket so someone else can come along for free, that just helps us to run the event, and all the proceeds from the event will be going to the Pride Centre. So that's what's happening there. So it is the generosity of our wonderful Meizon community which allows events like Thanksgiving Together to happen, and also helps us as a church to support all of the wonderful organizations you've been hearing about in our services this month. If you would like to give, there are a few ways that you can do that. So you can go to the website, meizonchurch.com, and you can give online there. You can just text the amount you want to give to 84321 and then select Meizon Church. Or we have boxes at the back where you can place your offerings on your way out or on your way back in next time you come. If you need any help with online giving, just let someone know. Miranda, in particular, is the person to speak to about that, and she will help you out. So we are now going to continue our Compassion Month series, so I'll hand over to Pastor Drake, and we'll hear what he has to say.
Jesus spent his time with people for whom life was not easy. And there, amid those who were suffering, he was the embodiment of perfect love.
Good morning. My name is Drake. I'm one of the pastors here at Meizon Church. We are so excited you decided to join us this morning or Wednesday afternoon if you're one of those people who watches our service later in the week. I was listening to a podcast this week that most people don't actually come to church on Sunday morning. They binge watch and they will call them, instead of sermons, they'll call them episodes. They'll binge watch them. So if you're one of those people or you're watching us live on TikTok, we are so glad that you're here. There's a lot of things you could be doing on a Sunday morning, like sleeping in, which is even tempting for me, but I do have to be here. I think you guys would probably be a little bit sad if, even though Donn would probably do great on his own, which I'm going to get.
Sad.
You're sad. He'd be sad too. Okay. I will say one of the great things about doing this Meizon Church thing for over a year together is that I don't have to make these new anymore. See, this Compassion Month from last year. So I didn't have to make this one new. So if the skills aren't as good as last time, it's okay. But we're glad that you're here. We're glad that you've decided to join us this morning.
Thanks.
We are here with one of our compassion partners, one of our local compassion partners, the Gainesville Pride Center, the Pride Community Center of North Central Florida. They're one of our partners that we partner with on a local level, and we're really excited about having Donn here today, but moreover, we're excited just to learn a little bit more together as a church about who the Pride Center is, what they do, and what they're all about. You see, we've got this big event coming up this next week, which we finally have fully funded, and we're hoping for 300 people at this Thanksgiving Together event. Just to give you a little bit of backstory, this event came to be when we were talking about the things that we could do to inject love into our community, because after all, that is what being a greater space is all about. And so we wanted to inject love into our community, and we didn't really know how. We were talking about it, and I thought about the fact that as a queer person, holidays aren't always the easiest, especially the first ones where you're away from your family, if you have a family who's not accepting of who you are. And so we know that there, here in Gainesville, with a lot of students and a lot of young folks, there are people who have to do Thanksgiving and have to do the holidays alone together or by themselves for the first time. And so we don't want them to have to be alone, but we want them to be able to have Thanksgiving together, to have community and to have chosen family. And so we've been lucky enough. We just had somebody, for example, a sponsor donate 72 pounds of meat to feed Thanksgiving. 72 pounds, just to give you an idea, is about the size of, is it Maggie or Dan? Is about 72 pounds, Miranda? Maggie. So about the size of Maggie is about how much meat's been donated.
Is Maggie a dog?
No, Maggie is a human child. Yes.
72 pounds is small, so I didn't know.
Well, she's a small human. Okay, well, Abby, then that seems weird, because then we're talking about eating a dog. But the point being,
sorry I asked.
It's okay. No, the point being that we've got this event rolling, and that's a good thing. And so we're excited about it. We do have a couple of people in-house. One of our band members today, Dylan, his band is playing. The Housing Crisis is playing. And you guys know Jared and Rachel Hart, Bohemian Sunshine. They will be playing as well. You can clap for them. They're not here. They'll be happy to watch the service on Wednesday afternoon to see. But we're really excited that you're here. We're excited about this event, and we're excited to be continuing our partnership with the Pride Center. As I said, all proceeds are going to the Pride Center, the Pride Community Center of North Central Florida. It's a long acronym.
We call it the Pride Center.
Okay,
Keeps
good.
it easy.
We can call it the Pride Center, not the PCC. Nope.
NCF, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
good.
You're good.
But anyways, we have Donn here with us from the Pride Center. Donn Smith-Lopez, you've been one of the directors at the Pride Center now for the past year. Could you tell us a little bit about who you are and about the Pride Center?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, and thank you all for welcoming me to your space. This is such a beautiful church. I've known Drake and Brent for a while now, and my husband and I have been wanting to come and visit. So thank you for welcoming me and allowing me to share a little bit more about the Pride Community Center in North Central Florida. So personally, I grew up in Gainesville, lived away for most of my adult life, primarily in San Francisco, but my family is still here, so I moved back a few years ago, met my husband, settled down as that happens. We got married here in Gainesville. We have 2 kids. We have a 4.5-year-old little girl named Alyssa, and our little boy Devin is 6, and he just celebrated his birthday last week. So you'll see a picture soon of like Sonic coming up. We don't have to do it right now, but you will see there's like a Sonic theme going on. That was his birthday. So 25-year career in healthcare, primarily in project management. So right now I'm in information services with UF Health. But it feels like the Pride Center is a job as well, but it is all volunteer. We are an all-volunteer board, and we depend completely on volunteerism from our members as well as our board of directors. Really, we love to travel quite a bit. We just got off a cruise last weekend. We love cruising. Definitely can't say enough about cruising because that's a fun thing to do. And then we are very active in our, forgot what I was going to say. Very active in our church community, United Church of Gainesville. We've been members for like 10 years. At UCG, I was a moderator at UCG, which is kind of like the chair of their board of committees. And
so Donn Smith-Lopez and Donn Bekaert is our moderator. So it's a Donn's,
exactly.
Donn and
the
Donn.
Donn and Donns. Yeah. It's like we're just like taking over, you know. And I've been chair of like many of the boards and committees. Currently, I'm on our board of human resources. I was chair of board of membership, and we have an open and affirming committee called ONA because UCG is an open and affirming church. Yeah.
So, fun fact about UCG, Brent didn't grow up in church, most of you know that, and so we were deciding what churches to visit when I moved to Gainesville, and First Christian Church was not first on the list, which we're now Meizon Church, but we visited United Church of Gainesville, and Brent fell in love with it, but he fell in love with it largely because we sat in front of Donn and Melvin.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if he even remembered that, but that
I
is
do.
why we sat in front of them, and Brent was like, "Oh my gosh, it's another gay couple at church."
And that's what we thought. Hey,
Yeah.
who's the gay couple behind us?
So
Yeah. So since I moved back to Gainesville, it's really when I became more involved in social justice and advocacy. My time in San Francisco, you would think, it was like right in the meat of it, right in the thick of it, but really I didn't have the drive to do it until I moved back to Gainesville. So I've been, like Drake was saying, I've been on the board for the last year. I'm now the vice president of the Pride Center. I also serve on the Council of Leaders for Equality Florida because I previously served on the statewide board of directors for Equality Florida. Maybe you all might know about Equality Florida. It is the statewide, premier statewide LGBTQ advocacy group here in the state. I also have co-chaired their gala, which is coming up in May. It's like a big fundraising gala, as well as locally I've served on the City Board of Human Resources and served as their chair briefly, and then have been involved with different task force and things like that in the city.
well, geez Louise, that's a resume. Huh? So that right there is like a human rights activist resume if I've ever heard one before. But that's awesome. I'm really glad that you're here. Glad you got to share some of that.
Sure.
And it's really evident that you have a passion for social justice and for human rights. And so
Absolutely.
it's really cool to know that someone like you is serving, at the Pride Center. And
Yep.
by the way, for those of you who didn't know, if you're here at our physical campus right now, the Pride Center is actually almost directly across the street in their new location, which we'll get to a little bit later as far as why you ended up kind of moving and why you're there. But I'm excited that we get to partner with them. I'm excited that Donn is here. And, you've been with the Pride Center for just about, a year now?
A year, exactly.
But I'm sure that you've had to be briefed on or even educate others on the history of the Pride Center. Could you give us a little bit of background as far
Sure.
as the Pride Center in our community?
Yep. So the Pride Center has been around since 2001. We are a 501c3, so we're a charitable organization. We serve 13 counties, so 13 surrounding counties around Alachua County. Our mission is really to foster the well-being and the visibility of everyone in the LGBTQ community, including those that are questioning and those that of different spiritual understanding. We strive to promote public understanding and affirmation of everyone of all gender expressions and sexual orientations, inclusive of race, background, spirituality, abilities. Recognize the importance of intersectionality and work with others in marginalized groups. And really, the core of the Pride Center is to educate and to advocate and to make sure that we are celebrating as well our community in all aspects.
Yeah, celebrating is such an important thing. In fact, I did a panel for another region of the Disciples of Christ for our denomination where they were talking about how do we market our church as open and affirming. And I asked the first question, is your church truly open and affirming? Are they willing to celebrate people who are different?
Absolutely.
And that was, I think, that was a big thing, at least for me, when I learned that word, as far as we're not just open and affirming, we're not just inclusive, but we're celebratory. And so it's really cool to hear you say that. But the Pride Center is right across the street, like I said, and you've been with the Pride Center for a year, and the Pride Center has existed now for over 20.
That's right.
Which is a huge landmark. One of the things that we talk about when we have lead team meetings is we kind of go into like, okay, well, we'll call it Sunday debrief. Let's debrief Sunday. What were and I always say we have to start with wins. Because otherwise we start with like, okay, what are the things that we could get better at? But no, we should start with wins because, wins are important. They build our ego. Just kidding. But they make us happy. They make us excited because we should be excited about what we're doing. And I know the Pride Center is definitely excited about what y'all are doing just across the street and in our community.
Yep.
And so what are some wins that you've had in the last year at the Pride Center?
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the biggest ones we had to move. And so we had a physical space on 13th Street for many, many years. And unfortunately, because of some lease issues, we had to move out of that space. Well, we were very lucky to partner with the Gainesville Community Counseling Center. If you know Larry Green, he was the minister at Westminster Presbyterian for many years, and he is a family therapist and counselor. So he moved his counseling center to this location, which is, if you know the dialysis center here in the Spring Hill Office Park, there's a whole beautiful second floor suite. Well, he rented out half of his space, so he didn't have to get this huge space. He rented out a space double the amount of size he needed so that he could actually invite in other nonprofit organizations, such as the Pride Center, such as Unspoken Treasure Society, which is an advocacy and a support group for transgender community, mostly of those people of color. And so we share space, and we call ourselves the Progressive Collective. So we had to have like a catchy catch name.
That is a cool catchy name, yeah.
Yeah. So the idea was obviously these nonprofits can't afford all of this overhead, the building overhead, whatnot. So by sharing space and acting collaboratively, we can actually come into community together more efficiently.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. And so just some of the things that we do at the Pride Center, the biggest thing we do is we offer a safe space for the LGBTQ community, and that includes meeting spaces, facilities for progressive groups, and some of the groups that we have are, we have a youth group for 13 to 17-year-olds, we have a seniors group, we have a veterans group. Every Tuesday, we serve over 40 clients at First United Methodist Church. We've partnered with that church with our GAP and TREE program. So it's the Gainesville Area AIDS Project. And the TREE program is the replenishing the essentials of everyday life. And that is toiletries, household items, things that folks on disability can't otherwise purchase with their food program. We actually are able to offer them a format package of household supplies. And then they get a hot meal every Tuesday. We actually just received a grant from CenturyLink and Absolute Ally, and when you say Absolute, it's really the Absolute vodka brand. They actually are they're a big supporter of the LGBTQ community, and they offer grants for us to be able to expand our offerings. So we're actually able to do more outreach, deliver meals to homebound clients now. So we just started up that grant. We're very excited about that. We host social and educational events. I wanted to invite you all on December 9th to our holiday party. It's from 4 to 6. It's there at our facility. And I think it's slide a couple more down, have our address on there, but it literally is just across the way. We also have a resource library, and we serve as the information hub for our community. And the biggest thing we do, the biggest win, of course, is Pride Days. So we celebrate Pride in October here in Gainesville just because the weather's a little bit nicer. It's not as hot in June. But this year we actually were able to have some events that we co-hosted and co-sponsored with some of the other organizations and business here in town, like First Magnitude was a huge supporter of ours. We really partnered with them. But in October, we have a huge Pride Festival. We have Pride Days. We have an awards dinner. So
we got to be there.
That's right. You guys were there.
At Pride. So we could give a round of applause to everybody in the room who served at Pride for Meizon. It was really cool. I don't know if I got to share this experience with you, but I know I did with Meizon. There was the hate preacher out on the corner, and so it was. I didn't really want to interact with him if I didn't have to, but I did a little bit because I'm a little bit combative. If you know me, you know that's true. But we ended up being able to pull some people off to the other side of the street and pray for Pride. So we had like 50 people who got to pray for Pride, injecting love into Gainesville, and so that was a really cool opportunity. But I know with the Pride Center, I know I'm a little bit naive, and so for me, hearing about some of these things, I know Miranda was sharing the retreat, or what's the name of the retreat days, the thing you were just saying with the...
Pride Days?
No, the at First Methodist.
Oh, GAP. So that's the Gainesville Area AIDS Project with First United Methodist.
Yes.
And TREE.
Yeah, there we go. So the GAP project, the AIDS project, I was unaware of that, and so it was really cool to learn about that. It's cool for me to know that when Meizon supports the Pride Center, that it's kind of neat because we get to also support by proxy the other organizations that are in the Progressive Collective, because we get to help participate in that overhead and help that out. And it's cool that you guys are creating a greater space like us where people get to hear and experience the good news that they are loved and that they matter. And that there is a community for them even if they've been rejected before. And that's really, really awesome that we get to be a part of that. And we're so glad that you're doing that work, because the thing is, we can't do everything here. We'd love to, but we can't. And so that's why we love to partner with organizations like the Pride Center who, we would say who get to be the hands and feet of Jesus in our community. And so we're really thankful to partner with you, and we're really excited to hear about those wins. We could give a round of applause for those wins that they've had this last year.
Yeah.
And going right along with wins, this is where we get to, what are some of the challenges, right? What were the things that you've had to deal with in the last year that have been difficult for the Pride Center, and what are some ways that we can help support you in those challenges?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So one of the biggest challenges we had, of course, was the win was the move, but also the challenge was the move. Could you imagine going from 4,400 square feet to 2 offices and a couple of storage spaces? So we really had to downsize quite a bit. But really the biggest, really the one that really hurt us the most and hit us the most was vandalism that we experienced at the Pride Center last fall. We had 2 rocks thrown through our windows, through our front door and our window. One was thrown so hard when we moved out, we found one of the rocks, like across the window, was lodged into the wall itself, like broke through the sheetrock and lodged in the wall. The community came together in an outpouring of support for us. That's not why we moved, I should say that, but it really hurt us to the core to know that there were people out there like that. Not that we were, oblivious to that fact, but the community came together and showed us the love and support that really exists in our community and throughout the nation. We had donations come in from all over to support us because we actually had to repair, obviously the windows and the damage that was done. One of the biggest challenges that we continue to face, and I think that all type nonprofits, churches, organizations that are strictly volunteer-based, is retaining and recruiting those volunteers. That really is always a challenge. We have an amazing volunteer coordinator now. Her name is Elena Kalina. She's on the Pride board, and she's just amazing at outreach to our volunteers. Also membership, like making sure that folks know about membership. So anyone could be a member of the Pride Center. It's $25 to be a member. There are definitely pluses to being a member. It's definitely being a part of that community. And we also offer in organizations and businesses to be part as a business membership. We have a tiered level, and there's some benefits for that as well. And then fundraising, of course, the donations, getting in the donations, hopefully getting in more grants like we did for the Gainesville Area AIDS Project. We are trying, obviously with the help of some grant writers to bring in some more funding there. And then referrals. One of our things that we really want to do is build out our resources so that folks always reach out to the Pride Center. My son is just coming out. I've just realized my inner transgender person that I am, and I want to show the world who I am as a transgender person. I'm an older person, and I need to connect with older people who are also in the LGBTQ community, things like that. We get emails and voicemails every day, all day. And it's a really reaching out and making sure that we are the bridge between the wider community and those resources that are available for folks.
Connecting people to the community is so important.
Yeah.
I know I'm always taken aback in a positive way when I hear that somebody was referred because, hey, my therapist told me, as I was coming out that Meizon would be a good fit for me. And so that is really special when you get to refer somebody to community like that. I have two things. The first thing is I have a piece of advice for your small space. Okay.
Please.
So when Brett and I moved from a 1,200 square foot house into a 200 square foot tiny home, and what you have to realize is, and I got this from somebody else, so the floor is the limit when you realize that the biggest shelf in the room is the floor. So
that is true.
The sky is the limit
true.
when you realize the biggest shelf in the room is the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, just so you know, so you have plenty of space. But
we made it work.
I just needed a couple of chuckles there, so I appreciate that. But what I will say too is, hearing about the attacks on the Pride Center, I did see that. I think Brett and I were out of town when it happened, and so I got to watch Joe Smith over at Shift Church help to raise that money, who's also a director at the Pride Center.
He's on our board of directors. He's amazing.
Yeah,
He's a great guy.
He is amazing, yes. And Brett and I have been friends with him for him and Tori for a while. In fact, I was one of the people who read Joe's sermon when he took Shift Affirming. So it's really special to kind of be a part of that journey. Affirming, for those of you who don't know, just means a space where people can be openly queer. And they're welcome and accepted and loved as they are. But the second thing that I hear when I hear about that attack, apart from the sorrow that hate exists, is I hear that even though hate exists, love always triumphs.
Always, every day.
Hate might exist, but love is what storms up those stairs every time.
Right.
And so it's really cool to say, okay, well, 2 rocks, but thousands of dollars were raised.
Yeah. And the outpouring of support.
Yeah.
Really the emails, the letters, the phone calls that we received, all the way from political leaders all the way to local business people that came out in support.
Absolutely, and I think so. I think for me, that's what defines what a greater space is. So Meizon comes from a Greek word that means greater. Meizon is all about creating greater spaces for people to hear and experience the good news of Jesus. And that might sound kind of churchy at the end. But for me, creating greater spaces means injecting love into our community. It's creating greater spaces means creating a space where love always triumphs, where love is always the center of attention and always overcomes whatever bad might be happening in the community or whatever bad might be happening in someone's life. Love triumphs. And so for me, that's what I hear the Pride Center is doing. It's really cool to partner with another organization that believes in greater spaces just as much as we do.
Truly.
One of the things I think with the greater spaces that I find the most compelling, I think sometimes, as a queer person myself, greater spaces in a church setting is one thing that we're still all learning to do. I think some folks are still trying to be honest with you, are still trying to figure out what it even means to be an ally. And I know that for some people, Chris Reisman's a dear friend of mine. She was 74. She had some gall for a 74-year-old, let me tell you. And I remember one time we had somebody who was non-binary attend church service, and she asked this person, she said, and she had come several times at that, or they was their pronouns. They had come several times to service, and Chris looked at them and said, I would love to learn from you. She said, because I'm entirely supportive of the LGBTQIA plus community. I just don't know the whole lexicon yet.
Yeah.
And
we're all learning. We're all still learning.
So do you think you could talk a little bit about allyship and what it means to be an ally?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we all are allies. Anyone that will come forward, and support the Pride Center in whichever way it is. Some folks can volunteer their time. Some folks can offer their financial support. Folks can be members. Folks can be leaders with the Pride Center, join our board of directors, join as a more of a leadership and a volunteer role. But really, allyship is really joining in as an entire community in support of the LGBTQIA community as a whole. Making sure that we are partners with organizations and with businesses, and we can have these conversations like today, which I really appreciate you inviting me to do.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you're here. I think, one of the things with allyship that I find so interesting is I think sometimes people are afraid because they're not sure if they can ask questions, or they're not sure if they're welcome to be a part of the community. But like Donn said, everyone who is in support of the community is an ally.
Absolutely.
And no question is a bad question as long as it comes from the right place.
Yeah, it's about education and learning from each other. Because like I said, I don't have all the answers. The Pride Center here doesn't have all the answers. We as a community and we as humankind are just experiencing all of this together and learning together. And really, like you said, loving each other and making sure that, like, personally, I'm a believer too, so in God's way and as we walk with God and walk with Jesus, like we walk together hand in hand to make this a better world.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a quote, so somebody write that down so I can use it on social media. Thank you. So I can use it on social media this week. I think ultimately...
I can say that in a church, so that's
You
fair.
can. I will say...
I wouldn't say that in a normal Pride Center conversation.
I'll put an asterisk.
Yeah.
Donn wouldn't say this in a normal Pride Center conversation at the bottom. But what I will say... is that I feel like allyship is something that, yes, it is walking hand in hand with people, and what that means a lot of times is education and advocacy. And so you don't have to know everything to stand up for someone else's human rights.
Absolutely right.
You don't have to have all the questions figured out in order to stand with those who need to be stood with, knelt with those who need to be knelt with, and hug those who just need a shoulder to cry on. And so for me, that's what allyship is all about, and that's really what Thanksgiving Together is going to be about. But before we kind of go into that Thanksgiving Together piece, I know that when Meizon leadership is part of a Alachua County Faith Leaders Alliance, and so there's several other denominations and churches and faith groups that are a part of this, and I know that I was kind of shocked to find out all of the different forms of faith that are in support of the Pride Center. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So First United Methodist I mentioned, they actually opened their doors to us because when we moved from our previous center, which Gap and Tree were housed at our former center, we didn't have enough space. So they opened up their storage space, they opened up their fellowship hall, their commercial kitchen for us to be able to store food and be able to serve those individuals. And it was a bonus that they were downtown. So it really went from 13th Street to downtown, so like our client population grew from there, which was awesome. United Church of Gainesville, can't say enough about them. B'nai Israel is a synagogue here in town who's been very supportive of the Pride Center. We also have the Presbyterian Church, Westminster Presbyterian. The Episcopalian Church downtown is a huge supporter, Unitarian Universalist. I mean, I could go on with the list. There literally it's an amazing list of faith communities. We actually host at the Pride Center. They are not a Christian group, but they are a spiritual group, and we actually host them once a month on a Sunday in our space so that they can share together.
Sunday Assembly.
Sunday Assembly,
Yeah.
Thank you, yeah. Sunday Assembly. So there are a large, just in the spiritual community and faith community, there are a large number of organizations and communities that do support the Pride Center and that we are in partnership with. And we are so happy that Meizon is now part of that partnership.
Yeah, we love that. I think, again, just to go back to the love always triumphs thing, I think sometimes when we watch the news, we can think that hate has the overarching narrative, especially in places of faith. And so to hear this large list, and there's more, by the way, that he hasn't listed, that are in support of the Pride Center and that are walking with Meizon in education and in advocacy and in loving people and being the hands and feet of Jesus. And so, again, hate might have a hold of the narrative, but love always triumphs. And so we're really excited to be partnering with you.
Thank you.
And we're really excited to be doing Thanksgiving together.
Yes, we can't wait for it as well.
It's one of those things where it was kind of like I was like trying to get everything together. Mind you, you know Kevin, and you know me, and you know Miranda. If you were going to put any one of us in charge of details, the last person would be me. But I've been put in charge of details, and yet somehow we've put together this.
Made it work.
We've put together this event. We've got.
All right. Well done, Drake. Well done.
We've got a number of platinum sponsors, gold sponsors, silver sponsors, and bronze sponsors from businesses and individuals in the community. In fact, people have resonated with this so much. I've had several people tell me they're actually not going to their family Thanksgiving in support of Thanksgiving together. And they said, my family won't be happy, but I want to be there. And that's really exciting to me. It's exciting to me that we have had area businesses and area candidates. And more than that, we actually had a platinum sponsor, which, mind you, platinum sponsor is $500 given by an anonymous donor because they believe so much in this cause. Wow. And so the cause, mind you, is the concept that people deserve to be loved, that love always wins, and that everyone deserves a place to be. In fact, if you take a look at our social media, whether it's our Instagram or our Facebook or our TikTok, you can scroll through all of these different businesses and sponsors of the event talking about how excited they are. I did one yesterday. We finally have a dessert vendor, Cosmic Snow Cones and Hot Diggity Dogs. That's the name of the place. I'm not kidding. Cosmic Snow Cones and Hot Diggity Dogs. They're a LGBTQIA plus couple. And I had met them a couple of times, and I invited them to come along, and they said they're going to do a Pride Cone in support of the Pride Center and donate proceeds to the Pride Center, which is really, really awesome.
We appreciate that.
And one of the things that she says in the video is she says, she goes, we've come from nothing, and she goes, I'm so excited to be a part of people's family for those of you who have nothing. And so it's really cool to be able to watch not just people inside of the Meizon community, but inside of the Gainesville community kind of rise up in support of people who don't have a place to go. And so this is where I'm going to leverage a volunteer opportunity, just name it. We do need some more volunteers for Wednesday night for setup, as well as Thursday. We have some setup in the morning. Bethany Hart is going to be leading both of those volunteer teams. And then if you just want to help serve food, or one of my favorite volunteer positions is we're going to have kind of like intentional family. So people who are wearing Greater Love shirts, who are sitting at tables intentionally to create community and to love on people. And that's really exciting. And we've got people all over from people who would say that they're agnostic or atheist, all the way to people who would say they're the most ardent Christian, and they're all coming together to serve and to love in one place.
Amazing.
And it's really, really cool. We're hoping for like 300 people. So invite everybody you know. There are invite cards outside. And if you do have a family Thanksgiving, you can come from 6 to 8. We're gonna have bands, and we're gonna have food, and we're gonna have Cosmic Snow Cones and Hot Diggity Dogs. That's from 6 to 8. We're really excited about that. Ultimately, creating greater spaces is injecting love into our community. And so I'm gonna call the band back up. And that's what the Pride Center does, and that's why we're so excited to partner with you, continue this partnership as we end this year out and go into the next year. We're excited for everything that you guys are doing.
Yep.
And I would encourage everyone to go check out the Pride Center's website, to follow them on social media.
Yeah, I did get a slide. I don't know if it's up or not, but there is a slide with our contact information. So it's GainesvillePride.org, and there's lots of links in there for donation, volunteering, leadership, all sorts of good things. Yep, there we go. And then there's our handles and our website.
And I can go and I'll post that on in our Meizon Church community group, so then that way we can have those links accessible for everybody who's here or who's watching us online. I'd encourage you to get involved with the Pride Center because we have got, the Thanksgiving Together is a one day, one night thing, and we're hoping, though, it is the first annual.
Oh, this will be the first of many partnerships with Meizon. We hope so.
And so we're really excited.
So.
Yeah, we're really excited to continue partnering with you and continue working with you, and we hope that together we can continue to not only push the narrative, but realize the narrative that love always wins and hate never triumphs.
Agreed.
So if we could pray together, we're going to pray for today, for this week, and for Thanksgiving together, that God would use this event to inject love into our community. Would you pray with me? God, we pray this morning for this opportunity that we have to inject love into our community. God, we pray that we could wrap our minds and our hearts and our souls around this reality that there are people who are your creations, who are your masterpieces, who need to feel and to hear and to see your love in action. God, we know sometimes that when we watch the news or we check our social media feeds, we see hate and we see difficulty and we see politics that upset us, but at the end of the day, God, we know that you are making all things new. God, we know that despite whatever narrative we might be seeing that causes us to believe that hate is winning, that your love is winning, that your love is what triumphs. And God, we pray that you would use us as your hands and feet, that we would be a part of that movement of making all things new, a part of building your kingdom here by loving and leading and serving. God, help us as a community, as a church community, and as a Pride Center community to inject love into our city. Help love to change the face of Gainesville, that people might know that they matter to this community and that they might matter to you. God, we pray for Thanksgiving together, that the event would not only be a success, but that the event would start some form of ripple effect into the holidays, that people would feel your embrace through the love of this community and the love of all those who are serving at Thanksgiving together. God, we ask all of this in your holy, your heavenly, your almighty name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Donn and Drake, for the beautiful things that you shared this morning about what's going on in our community, and it's really encouraging to hear that message. So just very quickly, on your way out this morning, we still have some of the Greater Love t-shirts available, a bargain at $15. Grab yours before they are gone. When you head out the doors, don't go that way. Come this way. Join us for our potluck lunch. We're going to be sharing some food together. Even if you're not hungry, come and sit with us and chat. We would love to get to know you a little bit better. One more thing. This is really important. Look around you. Do you see any Christmas decorations? No. And sadly, that's the way it's going to stay unless we can get some people to come along on Monday, the 27th of November. That's the Monday after Thanksgiving, and get a team together to help decorate the church. I think it would be a shame. We're a church. It would be a shame if we didn't decorate for Christmas. So if you're at all able to help out with that, then just go on the website and let us know you're coming along. It's really helpful to know how many helpers we'll have. And finally, really hope to see all of you, lots of you, at Thanksgiving together this Thursday. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be awesome. But if we don't see you there, we will see you back here, same time, same place, next Sunday.